Well, hello. My name is Jay Phelps, and I serve as the Director of the Election Supporting Technology Evaluation Program, or ESTEP, here at the United States Election Assistance Commission. I'm here today, joined with Elizabeth Beatrice, who is ESTEP's lead technology specialist for electronic poll books, to discuss this program further and its general procedures. On April 8th of 2024, the EAC commissioners adopted the Voluntary Electronic Poll Book Certification Program, which was officially launched on May 21st of this year. The EAC is now accepting e-poll book submissions from commercial and in-house manufacturers who are interested in obtaining federal certification. This program's launch follows a successful pilot in which two voting system test labs evaluated e-poll book devices from 5 commercial manufacturers and 2 in-house developers between January and August of 2023. The pilot confirmed that the systems tested are Election Day ready for use in the 2024 presidential election and would only require minor changes, such as documentation, to meet the adopted baseline standards. So Liz, thanks again for joining. Would you mind just giving us an overview of what this program is and who is it designed for?
Sure. Thank you for the question and for allowing me to join you today. This program was designed to evaluate e-poll books for functionality, security, and accessibility. E-poll books are to be tested by voting system test laboratories to the latest adopted version of the Voluntary Electronic Poll Book certification requirements. This program is entirely voluntary and is open to any commercial or in-house manufacturer that would like to participate. However, those that decide to participate must conform to the program's procedural requirements, which can be found in ESTEP's program manual.
Excellent, thank you. On the topic of manufacturers, could you please describe the difference between commercial and in-house manufacturers?
Absolutely. Commercial manufacturers can be defined as any organization engaged in the commercialized activities of marketing, selling, renting, and leasing e-poll books to multiple jurisdictions throughout the U.S. In-house manufacturers, however, are states, localities, or territories in the U.S. that have developed their own e-poll book with the sole intention to utilize, administer, and maintain that system within their jurisdiction.
Thank you. What information is required for a manufacturer to participate in this program?
Well, before submitting an e-poll book for testing, manufacturers must first submit 2 forms: the manufacturer for registration and the application for participation. The purpose of the manufacturer registration is to make initial contact with the EAC, provide essential information, and agree to the procedural requirements of the program. Each manufacturer will receive an identification code from ESTEP once they have been successfully registered. In addition, manufacturers must also submit an application package, which includes the application for participation form, a technical documentation package, and the system required for testing. The technical documentation must include a list of accessibility capabilities, the device capacities and limitations, coding convention, functional diagrams, a list of client jurisdictions, and training materials. ESTEP approval is required before testing begins, and manufacturers can locate copies of both of these forms on ESTEP's web pages, which I can link at the end of this presentation.
Thank you, Liz. Could you also describe what the process for testing looks like and what are the requirements for certification?
Absolutely. There are 7 main phases in the testing process. In addition to manufacturer registration and the submission of an application package, they include the test lab submission of a test plan, test lab confirmation that the system is ready for testing through test readiness review, which will involve penetration testing, the actual test execution, the test lab's submission of a test report, and the EAC's final decision to grant or deny certification. Regarding the requirements for certification, there are 3 separate categories of testable requirements that manufacturers must demonstrate have been met on the system. These are functionality, security, and accessibility. Under functionality, the goal is to evaluate the basic functions of the system to ensure that it is practical and serves its intended purpose. This is similar to a logic and accuracy test that might be done on the state or local level. There are 5 subcategories that test labs will evaluate for functionality. These include usability features, the system's configuration, its compatibility with other devices, its ability to communicate necessary information like voter registration data, and baseline maintenance and troubleshooting expectations. Under security, test labs will review the system's resilience against malicious activities. ePollbooks must conform to the following subcategories in this section, including access control, to ensure that the system is only allowing authorized users to access voter data, physical security measures, system integrity, network security, software design and architecture, and supply chain risk management. And lastly, under accessibility, the primary goal is to ensure that ePollbooks can provide the same opportunities to all of its primary users, regardless of ability. In this category, test labs will review baseline federal accessibility requirements, which are required under Section 508 and the Web Content Accessibility Guidelines. In addition, they'll also evaluate physical features, visual features, audio features, and the system's ability to support additional languages.
Excellent. Thank you so much for going through that in thorough detail. As you mentioned, this information is critical to understanding how ePollbooks will be eligible to obtain federal certification. So thanks again. Finally, how do you think this program will benefit U.S. elections and just the entire country as a whole?
That's an excellent question, Jay. Thank you for asking it. During the EAC's virtual meeting on the Voluntary Electronic Public Pilot Program in 2023, we had representatives from jurisdictions, manufacturers, and voting system test laboratories highlight the importance of having a federal ePollbook certification program. Specifically, they testified that a federal program would improve the voter experience, standardize test procedures, assist election officials, and lessen the burden on manufacturers. By having a uniform set of requirements, it will remove the complications of developing and testing to multiple standards that vary on the state level, while also allowing manufacturers to improve their systems to meet federal requirements. This will give voters a sense of confidence that the systems evaluated at the EAC are meeting the highest expectations for security and accessibility. On May 21st, 2024, the EAC commissioners released a joint statement commenting that the Voluntary Electronic Public Certification Program will help give election officials and voters peace of mind knowing that their ePollbooks have been evaluated and tested for security, accessibility, and usability. It is responsive to the feedback we received from Congress and stakeholders about the need for additional layers of security for this technology. This program highlights the EAC's unique position at the federal level to test and create standards that states and jurisdictions can opt into if desired. The EAC also wants to make it clear that the current ePollbooks in use in over 2,200 jurisdictions are secure and ready for use in the 2024 elections.
Thank you, Liz. There is no doubt that this program poses various benefits to eligible voters and the election administration community as a whole. Before we conclude today's presentation, could you briefly discuss what resources are needed for manufacturers to successfully achieve federal certification?
Absolutely. There are 5 main resources that manufacturers will need to be successful. They should visit the QR code on the screen or eac.gov/ESTEP to locate the manufacturer registration form, the application for participation form, the ESTEP manual, the Voluntary Electronic Public Certification requirements, and test readiness review and testing matrix. Additionally, if anyone has questions about this program, they can contact us directly at estep@eac.gov.
Well, thank you so much, Liz, for your time today. The ESTEP program would also like to thank our EAC commissioners, agency staff, and all of the stakeholders from around the country for making this program a possibility. It has been, a couple years in the making. And again, we would just strive and welcome any feedback or any questions that you have. Please reach out to us again, and we certainly appreciate your time today. Thank you.
Thank you.